Welcome to the Deep Dive. We sift through the sources, pull out the key insights, and bring them straight to you. Today, we're stepping into a really interesting literary space. We're looking at an author who, it seems, deliberately writes stories to make you, well, delightfully uncomfortable. Yeah, think about a love story that just purposefully messes with your expectations, pushes you towards the raw, kind of messy edges of emotion instead of, a neat little romance package. That's what we're going to unpack. So this deep dive is all about KJ. She's got this very distinctive way of telling stories. We'll explore her unique style, look at her first book, The Dog Walker, how it shot at the charts, became a top release. And this is exciting. We've got an exclusive look at her second book, The Chef. It's hitting shelves like really soon. Our mission really is to figure out how an author uses discomfort on purpose in storytelling and how do readers react. What does that mean for how you connect with the story? We'll definitely look at the different takes on her work, why it clicks for some and really challenges others. Okay, let's unpack this first. KJ, she's not just doing one thing. The sources show she has this fascinating range, way more than you might guess. She calls herself a blogger, novelist, and dreamer, but also, and I kind of like this, a devoted dog mom who lives for cuddles and adventures with her furry best friend.
Right, and that connection to animals, it's not just a biographical detail. It feels like a thread running through her work, doesn't it?
Totally. And besides the Beautiful Men series, she wrote Diary of Clichés. She calls it a deep dive into personal transformation, almost like an interactive tool for self-discovery. And then there's The Adventures of Sally, the rescue pup. It's an illustrated series, clearly a love letter to rescue parenting, she says. It follows this fearless, mischievous rescue pup, Sally, chaotic weekends, trips around the world, adventures in San Francisco, Mumbai. It really shows her range.
It does. And what's fascinating, I think, is how these different projects, memoir-ish, self-help, kids' books about a dog, they all seem to point to this core interest. Personal journeys, the messy reality of connection, they're not just random books. They feel connected, exploring similar ideas from different angles. Even the lighter stuff seems to touch on transformation, relationships, themes we're definitely going to see in Beautiful Men.
Absolutely. It paints a picture of someone really invested in the human and the canine experience. Okay, so let's dive into Beautiful Men, Book 1, The Dog Walker. What's the story here? It introduces Sarah. She hires a dog walker, Andy. Expects someone quiet, forgettable, invisible. But instead, she finds this guy who just seems to understand her grief without needing words.
Interesting premise.
Yeah, it's described as a quiet, emotionally resonant novel about people who show up when you've stopped expecting anyone to stick around. The themes are pretty poignant. Fragile beauty of connection, complicated strength of men who choose gentleness, and the kind of love that doesn't demand anything but gives everything.
Sounds lovely, but you mentioned uncomfortable earlier.
Right, exactly. And here's a clue, maybe. It's short. Just 57 pages. Reading age listed as 13-18. That already feels a bit different for a novel dealing with grief and connection. And this is where it gets really interesting. Despite, or maybe because of this unique style, The Dog Walker, published July 10th, 2025, it became a top release. Like number 21 in 90-minute teen and young adult short reads. Also ranked pretty well in 90-minute romance short reads and short stories on Amazon.
Wow, okay, so number 21 in its category, that's significant for what sounds like an unconventional book.
It really is. Impressive for a newer author, especially for a story that, doesn't play by the usual romance rules.
Yeah.
So how did that happen? Strong sales, but also some really sharp criticism.
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It points right to this tension between what the author intends and what readers expect. How does a book rank well and get reactions that are sometimes super critical? It suggests, some readers really connect with it. Maybe they get the discomfort, while others feel, let down, or maybe just confused by it. That whole interplay is fascinating.
We found one review titled, A Critical Review of a Narrative Failure. Doesn't mince words. Calls it a disappointing failure.
Ouch.
Yeah. The reviewer mentions weird repetitions being very off-putting. Felt it was mostly narration and not depiction. Too much telling, not enough showing. Very few interactions.
Okay, so standard writing critique points there. Show, don't tell.
Exactly. But it gets more personal. The reviewer called the main character, Sarah, absolutely nuts for a lot of the beginning. Found her humiliating attempts to connect with him made me really uncomfortable.
There's that word again, uncomfortable. But this time, it's a criticism.
Right. The reviewer basically said it fails as a novel too short, underdeveloped. Fails as a short story not focused enough. Said the author had a lot to learn about narration, but interestingly also admitted the writing itself, the prose, was well written.
That's quite a contradiction. Well written, but a narrative failure. And the protagonist being nuts and humiliating, it sounds like the reviewer just really dislikes Sarah's journey. And that criticism about mostly narration, the show don't tell thing, it's fundamental, right? The idea is to immerse the reader through actions, dialogue, sensory details. Instead of saying Sarah was obsessed, you show her, I don't know, constantly checking his schedule, rereading texts, that kind of thing. So the reviewer felt it lacked that immersive quality.
But here's the twist. The author, KJ, seems to have heard this kind of feedback and her reaction. In pieces called The Art of Uncomfortable Longing and The Art of Unrequited Longing, she says she actually smiled when someone said they didn't get the protagonist's obsession.
Smiled. Okay, so definitely intentional then, not an accident.
Exactly. She says flat out, I didn't set out to write a love story dressed in neat bells. I set out to write about longing raw, unfiltered, and humiliating.
Wow. So the humiliating part the reviewer hated, that was the goal.
Precisely. For KJ, Sarah's flaws, her delusions, her humiliations, that's the real story. Andy, the dog walker, he's just a mirror. He ignited her vulnerability, obsession, pain.
He's a catalyst, not the focus.
Right. So in her words, the discomfort is the art, the awkwardness is the honesty, and she declares, I don't write to flatter, I write to reveal.
That completely reframes the criticism, doesn't it? It's basically saying, you felt uncomfortable. Good. That means it worked.
It really challenges that whole idea of needing a likable main character, especially in romance-adjacent stories. We're often trained to root for them, identify with them.
And making a character deliberately uncomfortable or awkward or even nuts, as that reviewer put it, how does that change the reading experience? Artistically, what's the payoff?
Well, I think by showing someone so flawed, so messy, maybe even embarrassing, she's aiming for a different kind of connection with the reader.
Like, not aspirational, but maybe recognition.
Maybe. It's not idealizing love. It's showing the awkward reality of really intense longing, especially when it's one-sided or tangled up with grief like Sarah's is.
So the discomfort you feel reading it, it's meant to mirror the character's internal state, or just the raw awkwardness of real human emotions sometimes.
It could be both. Real emotions aren't always neat and tidy like in fiction.
Definitely not. So when she says the discomfort is the art, she's pushing back, saying stories don't always have to make you feel good. Sometimes authenticity is, wow, uncomfortable, but maybe more truthful.
It challenges us, maybe, to sit with that messiness, because real life is often messy, and maybe that hits harder than a perfect story.
It's a bold stance, prioritizing that kind of artistic honesty over just giving readers what they might think they want. And clearly it resonated with some people, given the ranking.
Oh, for sure. Not everyone hated the discomfort. We found another reader's take, The Dog Walker, a quiet, powerful reflection, totally different vibe. This person called it quiet, emotional, and unexpectedly powerful, said that the characters felt so real.
Okay, so the opposite of the narrative failure review.
Exactly. They praised the softness in the way KJ writes, but said it hits hard in moments you don't see coming. This reader finished it in one sitting, just sat with it afterwards, called it a little gem of a book, clearly felt that emotional impact.
So the same book, eliciting completely opposite reactions. One sees failure and awkwardness as flaws, the other sees reality and power in that same awkwardness.
Yeah. So what does this mean for you, the reader? It means KJ is basically daring you to feel, maybe even embrace the cringe, to think about whether a love story needs to be polished to be powerful. Sometimes, maybe the most real stories are the ones that make us squirm a bit, the ones that show the unvarnished parts.
It suggests that discomfort itself can be a pathway to connection, or at least to recognizing something true about being human.
Okay, so let's shift gears. Let's look ahead. The second book in the series, Beautiful Men, The Chef, it's almost here, and based on The Dog Walker, we can probably expect, well, more intentional discomfort, right? But maybe applied differently.
Seems likely. What do we know about this one?
Release date is September 6th, 2025. Today's the 4th. So yeah, literally 2 days away. It's up from pre-order now. And we got a little preview. New city, new characters, but still exploring those core themes. Connection, longing.
Okay.
Setting is San Francisco, described as a city hunting with restless energy and the quiet hum of digital lives. Very evocative.
Very tech-centric vibe.
Totally. We meet Kevin. He's a Michelin-starred chef. Amazing with food, but carries the quiet burden of big city loneliness. He's trying to find intimacy online, swiping. Not much luck. And then there's Tammy, engineer turned product manager, tech world again, dealing with the crazy pace of her job and that paradox. surrounded by millions while feeling utterly alone.
Ah, the modern condition.
Right. Her online dating is just a mosaic of well-meaning but ultimately unfulfilling encounters.
Okay, so this is fascinating. The chef seems to be taking that beautiful men theme of connection, but shifting the focus from personal grief and that intense, maybe obsessive longing in Dog Walker to this broader, very contemporary alienation, the kind that comes from relying on screens, on digital life for connection.
Yeah, like Dog Walker was about how grief makes you vulnerable, maybe awkward in your longing. The chef sounds like it's looking at how digital life itself can make us lonely, even while we're supposedly connecting.
And you can totally see how KJ's intentional discomfort could play out here, can't you?
How so?
Well, think about modern dating. The curated profiles, the ghosting, the endless swiping, the performance of it all online. It's full of potentially awkward, cringy moments. Sarah's humiliations in Dog Walker felt very internal, tied to her grief. Here, the discomfort might come from the external world of apps and online interaction.
The fakeness, maybe. Or the desperation.
Exactly. Will Kevin or Tammy seem unlikable because of their digital habits? Will we see those weird repetitions in their endless scrolling or their dating app routines? It feels like perfect territory for her to expose the raw, sometimes embarrassing reality of seeking connection in a superficial digital world, holding up a mirror not just to the characters, but maybe to us too.
That's a really insightful way to put it. A very modern kind of longing, and maybe a very modern kind of discomfort she's exploring.
Yeah.
And this is book 2 of 2, wrapping up the Beautiful Men series for now.
So it completes this particular arc.
Yeah. The whole series is about intricacies of love, depth of friendships, magic of connection. The chef is longer too, 150 pages. Reading age bumped up slightly to 16, 18.
Suggests maybe a bit more complexity, deeper dive into their lives, the societal stuff.
Could be. So the big question the chef seems to pose is, can these two people, Kevin and Tammy, who are so used to curated profiles, fleeting digital things, can they find something real when they meet offline?
Outside the algorithm.
Exactly. Can genuine intimacy grow in a city obsessed with digital validation? It feels very timely, exploring what connection even means now. Okay, so let's recap. We've looked at KJ's very distinct style, using discomfort deliberately, aiming for honesty over flattery. We saw the Dog Walker's journey provoking strong reactions, sure, but also finding real success, becoming a top release. And we've had a peek at the chef, coming out in just 2 days, tackling modern connection, digital loneliness. She's definitely not afraid to challenge us.
No, clearly not. It's a consistent vision, even across different formats and themes.
So here's something to think about. If a story makes you squirm, if you cringe right along with the characters, could that actually be a sign of its honesty, its humanity? What stories stick with you the most? Are they the comfortable ones? Or the ones that push you, challenge your expectations? Maybe don't tie everything up neatly.
That's a good question. Maybe that willingness to sit with awkwardness, with vulnerability, maybe that's where we really connect and understand ourselves a bit better.
Something to chew on. Thanks for diving in with us today.